Hello and welcome back to another lesson in the Python Crash Course. I'm Chris Franklin. Okay, well in today's lesson what we're going to do is we're going to write our first real Python program. Okay, up until this point we've been working in the Python console, also known as the interpreter or the REPL. And so what we're going to do is we're going to move into working in a file, a Python file, and we're going to execute that. This is more the way that you would deal with Python. You won't be working with it from the interpreter except to test small things, maybe to run some simple addition, subtraction, things like that. Just little one-off tasks that you want to do. But if you want to automate things, you're going to be doing them here in an actual application. So if you've been following along, you should have PyCharm installed, and you've been working in the Python console part of PyCharm. But if we close that down, there's a little minus button over here that hides the window for you. You can hide that and you can see the main application here. So we created a project when we started this up, and all we're going to do here is we're going to right click on the project folder and we're going to click new file. Okay, and we're going to give the file a name. We're going to call this main.py. .py means it's a Python file, so go ahead and do that. And now here you are. You're in the top level of the application, and you have main.py sitting next to your virtual environment folder. Okay, as I said before, you don't really need to worry about what the virtual environment folder is actually doing. Just know that that's helping separate everything you do in here from the rest of your system and not pollute if you have other Python applications running. Okay, so now that we're ready to write a Python application, let's go ahead and start putting some code in here. We have main.py open in our window here, and what we're going to do is we're going to start with a comment. I like to start at the top of all my files, just a quick rundown of what am I doing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a comment. The way we comment in Python is we put the hash symbol, and then we say a simple hello world introduction. Okay, so all we're doing here is we're putting a simple hello world. Now this will pop up if you don't meet all of the requirements for PEP, which is the Python standards for what your code should actually look like. It'll throw these little squiggly lines in here, and it'll actually tell you, would you like to reformat the file to meet the requirements, and get rid of that. And so you can click that. It's a really useful feature of PyCharm. So just keep in mind that that's there. So you need a new line at the end of every file. That's just the Python standard. Okay. So let's now hit and create our first actual application. All we're going to do is we're going to use the built-in function called print. As you can see, one of the other benefits of using PyCharm over some of the other things that you can use to write Python code to start with is it'll give you this little pop-up window here that will help you and tell you everything you need to know about the built-in functions and imported functions. So you can see print is a built-in here, and so what we're going to do is we're going to say print, and then we're going to give it a string. So if you remember the strings from before, they're single quotes, and all we're going to say here is hello. All right, that's it. That's all we're going to do. So if we save this now, we can actually run this application. Okay, so now that we've actually done this, the very first time we do this, because the way we decided to create this was we didn't create the default main.py, it doesn't set up a configuration for you here, a run configuration by default. So to set that up, all we're going to do is we're going to right click here, and then in your right click menu there is run main. Okay, if we click that, what you'll see is down here in the terminal window, from the run, you'll see the Python environment variable. You'll see Python itself being called on main.py, so this file, and then you'll see that it print out the word hello. And that's it. That's all we've told it to do, is print out hello. Once we've done this for the first time, you'll actually see up here in the top right that now there is a main configuration, and the little green arrow next to it means we can run it anytime we want. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. Let's make this a little bit more than just printing out a word. This is the most basic thing that you could possibly do in Python. So let's do a little bit more here. Let's make this a little more complicated. Let's say, hello, what is your name? Okay, And that's it. So we can say, what is your name? And then we can actually read in and wait for the user to type something in and have this become an interactive application. Okay. Now, how do we do that? In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to say name is equal to input. This is another built-in function here of Python. So if we take this and we run it, now it'll say, hello, what is your name? And I can type in, my name is Chris. The process exits. We don't actually do anything with it. But now what we've done is we've stored whatever was entered as input into the name variable. So now we can start to use this. Let's make this say, greet whoever the username is back. Okay, so we can say print, and we'll say nice to meet you, and we'll say plus name. And that's it. That's all we have to do. We've done string concatenation now inline inside of the print function. Okay, so if we run this, let's make sure that this actually works here. Okay, so I can type Chris, and it'll say, nice to meet you, Chris. There you go. You've built your first fully interactive application. We can add a little more in here. We can ask additional questions. We can print out, so the name, there are some built-in functions that we can use over the top of strings. We can do, let's look at the length. Let's print out the length of this thing. So let's say print, we're going to do the length of name. Okay, I want to see how long name actually is. Okay, and so if I save this and run it, I can type in the name that I want here, and then I can say nice to meet you, and I can print out 5, which is the length of that string. We can do a lot more here too. We can say print how old are you, and then we'll do age equals input. Okay, now one of the things to notice here is that we're using exactly the same thing. Okay, as we did before, we're assigning this into a variable. The catch here is that that age is going to come in as a string. Okay, and so if we want to be able to manipulate it, let's say we want to change it. We want to say, let's say, how old is this person going to be in 10 years? Okay, so we can say print in 10 years you will be, and now let's take this, and what we can do is we're going to have to do a little bit of fancy casting here, because what we want to do is we want to take the age that was set in here, and we want to convert it into another string. So what we're going to do is we're going to say new age, okay? And now that doesn't exist. Now you can see there's a red squiggly here, but in between we're going to say new age equals, and we're going to take the integer value of age, and we're going to add 10 to it, okay? So if we save this, do you remember what will happen if we save and run this here? Do you think this is going to work? The only way to know is to run it itself, and don't be afraid to break things. You're very rarely going to break things bad enough for things to get really, 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 really bad. The worst you're going to do is you're going to lock up your computer, have to turn it off, and start it over again. That's usually the worst you can do with a Python application. So don't worry about it. Don't be afraid of that. It is nothing to be afraid of, okay? So let's go ahead and type in our name. It's going to ask me how old I am. I'm only 10 years old, okay? Oh, except it broke. Why did it break? Because you can only concatenate strings, not integers to strings. Okay, well, we can fix that. We can say str and turn the new age into a string. And that's it. That's all we have to do. Now let's see if this works, okay? So my name is still Chris, and I still am only 10. Look at that. In 10 years, you will be 20. Okay, I think that's it. I think that runs through everything you need to know about building your very first Python application. From here on, we're going to start building more and more complicated logic and start doing some real programming. This is just a nice, gentle introduction into the topic, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. All right, bye.